I'd rather be with you. Yeah.
Okay, everybody, if you are watching us and if you are here, please just say hello in the chat on the right. Welcome to Good Vibes Radio. I'm Alice, and as every day, I am interviewing entrepreneurs that I love during this confinement because we need some good vibes from entrepreneurs. So every day I have the huge opportunity to talk with people who are actually pivoting, building, inventing, creating new things. And it's so important to keep your flame alive. So thank you for being here, Quentin.
Thank you, Alice, for having me.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So Quentin, who are you and what do you do usually?
So I'm Quentin Adam. I'm the CEO of a company called CleverCloud. CleverCloud is kind of a no-ops solution. So developer just push a code and we manage everything. So monitoring, security, everything. So it's kind of the industrial way to do cloud computing because it reduces the time for a new application to come alive. It reduces the cost and it increases the productivity. To be fair, it's more like if you're taking, the ladies of the phone, the TV show where they switch the cable. For me, and it's sysops from the cloud age are basically these ladies, and what we have created is just erasing this kind of jobs, making the service better at a lesser price.
Okay, lady. I hear you. No, it's just me.
No, it's just you, I think.
Just news. All right. So you are usually the CEO of CleverCloud.
Yeah.
But since the beginning of the crisis, you decided to start a totally new project with another entrepreneur from the family that I love, Baptiste from Crisp.
Yeah.
You decided to do what, Quentin?
Basically, it was when Macron does his whole speech, but we are at war and stuff. So my entrepreneurial way of thinking started to pop up, and I started to show what the numbers and what the problem in the crisis. Because basically, in this kind of crisis, there will be tension on some resources, and we started to think about what we will be and. There is one problem with the COVID, which is what we call SRAS, which is when your lungs is not able to breathe by themselves because the sickness have hurted them badly. So there is many bad,
Recorders.
Yeah, recorders, and they're not compliant enough. So they're becoming more fragile and stuff. So you cannot breathe by yourself, and you're going to be used by a machine. So basically, a machine will make the breath for you.
Ventilators.
Yeah, it's ventilators or someone the many people call artificial breathing, but in the medical way it's called ventilators. And there is many ways of ventilators and many research about ventilation and stuff. But in the case of COVID, small portion of the people with the COVID will have this kind of sickness. And this small portion of the COVID will need ventilators. And
they are the one, excuse me, they are the one who are in the worst conditions, right? They are the people who are about to die.
Yeah, it's a very, very bad condition, and it's a worst kind. It's a way, in fact, to die about the COVID. COVID is about attacking the lungs, and you will need to be on the ventilators to prevent that. And in the large amounts of people having COVID, it's just a very small portion. But the fact is, the COVID is having so good spreading capacity that this small portion is actually a large number of people, and there is not enough ventilator in the world for all the people who actually need it. And the fact is, this kind of device have not very often used in a normal way. That's why you have a problem there, because you need to find a way to produce more ventilators. So starting to call some friends. So I call Baptiste Jamin and Valérian Saliou, which is the founders of CRISP, which is a very good friend of mine. And I know their kind of maker style, and I know the Baptiste and Valérian are this kind of people where the problem, they solve the problem, and they don't panic, and they just, we need to find solutions and find stuff. I also called a friend of mine called Emmanuel Feller, which is working at CleverCloud. He was an entrepreneur too. He had this company before, and now he's working at CleverCloud. So Emmanuel, and I call another people, which is Kay, which is Pierre-Antoine Gouraud, which is a professor, a PhD on the hospital in Nantes. And we're starting to discuss about to create a ventilator.
All right.
Open source and everything.
So you guys work with CEOs, with engineers, and also with big corps to create this new generation of ventilators. This is the whole point of the crisis today. It's the fact that we're missing ventilators.
Yeah, it can be useful in France, but it can be also useful in international way. So we don't know yet where the ventilator will be needed, but I really think that at some point some people will be able to survive because of this ventilator.
All right.
So what we have done is creating a project. So it's for open source. We want all the people to be able to save life with that. It's not a project where we want to win some money. So actually, people like Baptiste, Valérian, and me have made the company running on his own way, and we focus on that. When I say focus, everyone is working 20 hours a day on the stuff. It's a very crazy project. I have to say that it's only possible because CRISP and CleverCloud are this kind of company which is already profitable. And as we automate a lot of stuff on this company, basically if the CEO is not here, as the CEO is only there for manage problem and make development for the future, it's not a big problem. The company is running, and actually CleverCloud and CRISP is performing better sales without us in the last month. So
cool.
It's running well. And so we're creating the project on open source and starting to show some demos of what we're doing on YouTube. And we have not widespread the old news that we are working on that everywhere. We're only spreading this in small community. We know we can find some people we need to be able to achieve the stuff. Because first, we need to build a ventilator, a prototype, which is actually working, which is an engineering problem. But to be fair, it's not the most complicated problem we have. It's complicated, but the second problem is more complicated. The way we're doing the ventilator have to be certificated by the regulator. So in France, we call this the ANSM, which call for Agence Nationale de Sûreté du Médicament, which is basically FDA for USA, for example. And this guy will say if what we do is about to be put on a human being or not. And it's very important to understand that what they do on the job is not bureaucracy or bad regulation thing. It's for the safety of the patient and the practitioner to be okay with that. So it's very important job. And usually working with these guys is about a month to just like building a file, and month to speaking with them, and months to make the tests. And then we are going to speak with them and squeeze the times in just a few days and weeks. And they agree with that. It's a very we're working with them. We're not against them at all. They're very great on the crisis. I have to say that this administration have been very interesting.
But just a question, Quentin. Today, there are industries that are supposed to be producing these ventilators. What is the problem with these industries? They are all overcapacities. What happened?
First, all these industries are overcapacities because it's not, as I say, it's not the device that everyone is using day to day. And creating ventilators is a little bit complex on this industry because there was no tension on the industry. And the point is, every countries look at their own industry of ventilators saying all the ventilator will be for the country. And in France, it's Air Liquide, which is the only device provider we have. And Air Liquide's Health Air Liquide is not a very big division of Air Liquide. And
They produce an amount of how many machines per year usually?
Per year, the T60 of Air Liquide is produced about 200 times per year.
And now we need how many machines today?
I cannot say the numbers of device France is needed because this number is classified, but the government have ordered 10,000. So we're speaking about very different figures. We need thousands of ventilators, and the production is about 200. So this is kind of complicated. And these guys are there is two problems for the traditional industry. The first problem they have is these guys have a traditional way to work on the industry. They have a national preference. They used to work on a traditional industrial purpose that made that if some supplies are coming from Asia and China, they're taking it. But the problem is today working with this kind of supplies is a little bit complicated because the whole logistic in the world is complicated. So that's why we're trying to avoid using this kind of stuff, and they don't have the supplies today for producing. So when we decided to create the stuff, it was more like, okay, some countries in the world will not able to pay for ventilators either. So just creating a plan where open source and open device can be the solution, and they will be able to use it. So we're creating the whole project on open source, which is the recipes. Then we try to get to the regulator to approve it, and then we have the industrialize the production, because if we're creating one ventilator and it's approved, but we cannot create it like 10,000 in the next days, it will be a problem. So we have worked on all the solutions in the same time. So in the first week, we started to recruit some engineers to help us on the open source network. And we're starting to look for engineer, which is absolutely not our area of competencies. The engineer with the pressure, because there's a lot of question about the pressure in a ventilator, engineer with mechanical requirement, engineer with electronical capacities. And we're starting to think about how we can find some people to help us on how we build a medical device. And on the Saturday, we have another entrepreneur called me, which called Eric Hennecker, and Marc Julien from a company called Diabeloop. And Diabeloop is a startup in the medical device, which is building eye-oriented insulin pump for people with diabetes. And they know how to build a medical device. And Eric is a real industrial people. He has worked for many very big companies in this world. We build stuff like factory and stuff. And we have a small chat with Eric, and he decided that he have to work with us. So 1 week after I've launched everything, we already were 100 people working, with 60 people working full time on the stuff. And 1 week after, we were 2,050, and I think about 100 people working full time. So we're starting to design
2,050 or 250?
250, sorry.
It's a lot of people. So many people with different backgrounds involved in making this machine work. Can you tell me, like, as if you were explaining this to your grandma, what innovation have you put in these ventilators that makes it different from what the traditional producers, factories, would have done it?
To be fair, it's the same innovations that always we put software in the middle of it. When we design the ventilator, we integrate a lot of new points we need to do. First, it has to be reproducible by nearly everyone. When I say nearly everyone, it's not so easy to build one. You need some tools. But we try to do something where any country can get a solution to build one of the ventilator. So that one of the point. The other point was, if one of the parts we need to build the ventilator is actually used by a real producer, industrial producer elsewhere producing ventilator, we don't use it. Because we don't want that taking some parts, we will get one ventilator off the road from one industrial. Because in the industrial way
So
of
how to
thinking,
be fully independent?
yes, because one of the problems when you build this kind of stuff is the supplies. And all the industrial people out there are looking only for some supplies, which is very complicated to find. So we cannot be on the same supply than them, because we cannot have them producing ventilators slower because we're here. So it's one of the key points of what we do. So we have done something very different from all the world, because this kind of constraints give us this kind of situation where we need to find other situation, and we try to have the maximum of flexibility. So that's why we put the software inside it, because we can basically have some mechanical part which don't change and improve the machine just because the software is changing, which is cheapest way to do stuff. And that's why we put a lot of energy inside it. And we slow down the electronical and mechanical part of the system with a large software implementation, which reduce the cost. And what's interesting with that is putting a large amount of software, giving us the ability to have some signal management and some classical pattern on the IT to actually have better results on some parts. So today we have the ventilators, but we're also producing the V2 and the V3 of the ventilators. And some parts of the V2 and V3 are pure research we do with the hospital to be able to lower the quantity of drugs we put on the organism of someone using the ventilators, because we think we're treating the data of some sensors, we will be able to reduce the needs of drugs at some point, which is very interesting, because we're basically shifting from only providing a security measure right now to actually innovate inside the system.
What I've understood is that we need ventilators to breathe, and we are in coma.
Yeah, exactly. In fact, when you need this kind of ventilator, because as always, ventilators is very complicated stuff. So we have many different kind of ventilators for many different kind of pathology. And I'm not a doctor, so I cannot say exactly for which one. So I just focus on only one, which is the needs for the COVID. And when you are in a very big problem with that, what we do is we put two drugs inside the patient. One is paralysis. So the patient will need absolutely no muscle moving, because a ventilator cannot be able to work without to get all the breathing cycle managed by himself. And to be able to manage the breathing cycle by himself, we need to inflate and deflate all sorts of stuff. So if the muscles for the breathing of the patient will be active, we will have a problem. There is a conflict between all cycles and the patient cycles, which is complex. And the second one is sleeping, because which is propofol. We need to be sure that the patient is sleeping, because the experience of having a tube going down your trachea and making you breathing from yourself with a lot of pain will be a very huge traumatism. So we need that the patient will be totally unconscious and totally paralyzed to be able to breathe for him. Which is kind of very, when people with this kind of symptoms will go for the machine for 15 to maybe 3 weeks, 15 days to 3 weeks, which is a lot. And wake up after that is not like waking up, going to the sports room. They have to be re-educated. They have lose a lot of muscle for the breathing, because we're breathing for them. So it's a very complicated, traumatic experience, and it's not very easy to be back.
Actually,
from
if
that.
I understand well, you are trying to solve two problems. First, the problem of the numbers of machines available, so that people can actually benefit from a breathing machine, ventilator. But also a second problem, which is the after experience, which is when you get out, you don't want to be suing the doctor because you lost your capacity of breathing by 50%.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why we're trying to do a kind of gentle way to make the breathing machine works. To be fair, that there is no patient with no consequences of mechanical ventilation. Mechanical ventilation will be always with consequences, which is sad, but it's the way it's doing. So we try to reduce this, but to be fair, it's the next step after. So right now where we are is we are producing the machine. So we have a V1, and the V1 are going to the NSM, and from the NSM, so we have make some what we call the preclinical tests. Preclinical test is first we have a kind of mechanical lung, which is a device which is reproducing the way lungs works. There's many ways to have this device. There is one which basically a balloon between two small plaques, but this is only the resistance of the device. To be fair, a lung is way more complicated than that. So there's another machine we use, which is called an ASL 5000, which is a device which costs like $50,000, which is a very expensive device.
Yeah.
And it reproduces the way the lungs works. So we are running a lot of tests on this device, which is we have people who have give us the device to work. Like just to be fair, that I track for 2 weeks the guys who have sent us the device, because these guys sent us the device so we can do the test. But I didn't have his address, phone numbers, or even his name. It was the mobilization about, around the project is so big that the people say, okay, send them the device, and we don't know who it was.
You told me yesterday that you're using some pieces in the machine from Parrot as well.
Yeah, also, yeah. The project is enormous because there is many companies which have been very helpful with us. So first, we have 200 people working on the collective, which is enormous. Many of these guys are they all are benevolent, and some of the company are just paying them, working on this device, and saying, okay, it's for us, no problem, work on this. For example, there is a company called Tronico. It's a company from electronical stuff. And the Sunday, 1 week after starting the project, the CEO of this company, I don't know him before, asked me on the phone and say, okay, how can we help you? I say, okay, I'm very, very bad at electronic, to be honest. I'm not good. Can I have an engineer? He say, okay. So on the same day afternoon, I have an engineer starting to work on the project, like right now. And after he called a lot of stuff inside this company, and at some point there was 5 people from Tronico working full time on the project on the basement, and they help us a lot. All these companies, small company, give us an engineer and stuff like that, and many companies like, for example, Iliad, give us some help, for example, for getting some part from the China. And they asked me, what's your problem, for example? I have a very big problem of motor, because we designed some part of the system with a drone engine, because we need some pressure in the air to be put. And I think I had a very big problem with this motor engine drones, and I don't know how to do. And they say, oh, maybe we can find out something for you. So 10 minutes later, my phone ring. And it was like, okay, I'm Henri Sedou. I'm the CEO of Parrot. How can I help you? And they send us a large amount of motor, even R&D projects. We have the help of some of their engineer, which is far better than us to
so it's
drive
a lot of learnings as well on the project management side. I'm sure by the end of this COVID crisis, you will have tons of stuff to tell me.
Yeah.
And right now the focus is on the machines. When can they be released and tested on human in real situations?
So we're speaking with the NSM. So we're working on something we call a clinical test. So the clinical testing, when you put it in people, so we have made all the tests on preclinical with the mechanical lung and with animals.
Yes, yesterday you were taking a plane with a pig to test the machine on a pig.
Yeah, it was really crazy situation because we need to have a private plane to just put us on the lab, and yesterday was a very exhausting day because we were all the day in the clinical block to manage the stuff. But yes, so we have managed to have many tests on this, which is a preclinical test with two hospitals, which is Nantes and Brest. We have put together a clinical study, which is all scientific way to produce the machine. So we're asking the NSM to give us the authorization to run the test, and we're asking also what we call the CPP, which is the Committee for Person Protection, which is the ethical part of the stuff, saying like, what you want to do to people is ethical and it's not harming way in a bad way. So we already have a green light there, and we're managing to have the also the NSM part. So we have a very big meeting also with them yesterday, and it's working very well on the good direction there. And when they will say okay, we will start to test it on real human. And there is many phases, but 1, 2, 3, and on the 3 phase of the clinical way, we have this kind of stuff where we can put a lot of people inside it. It's still a surgical phase, but it's still a test phase, but it's like a pre-production. And
If
after
you are,
we can
if
use
you are
it.
very optimistic, how long does it take?
I will not say any dates here because it's complicated, but it's not preventing us to work on the industrial phase, because so we're working very hard on the project. We were at the Palace, and we make the connection with the CEA. CEA is a center for atomic energy in France, and they help us very well. So basically, we have a lot of funding to create this stuff. I will not say the amount, but it's millions. And we have funding from the army with the Agents for Innovation and the Defense, which is paying some part. But we also have funding from the CEA and from the Région Pays de la Loire and from the Région Rhône-Alpes, Auvergne-Rhône-Alpes. We have put enormous quantity of money inside the CEA for helping us. And the CEA have made very bold decision to help us. And we take all the people from the labs, and we put everyone in Grenoble in the CEA to work on the industrial phase. So when we were in Grenoble, we create a line, industrial line of assembling the device. So since 3 weeks, we are people producing the device in an industrial way. And today, the device we're using on the pre-industrial phase, which is the test and the animals, which are not the machine we assemble in the lab. Prototype in the lab remain in the lab. The industrial phase is the machine we're using on that, which is able to qualify what we do to be a mass production device, because we as engineers are not in the production of industrial phase. So we write what we call a cahier of industrialisation, which is how to make the device in an industrial way. And last week we have signed an agreement with Group SEB to be the major leader of the industrial consortium producing the maker. And we're working with them to have a very huge mass production of the device. So we're working on different phases. We have the research and already working on next version of the device, which is better. We have the quality and regulation working with the regulator to be able to be sure that we will be able to put the device on patient without having any issue for the patient or for the practitioner. And we're having the people working on the industrial phase to synchronize all the stuff and buying all the resources we need to produce them.
Have you
and
been
everything
sleeping?
like that.
Have you been sleeping?
Sorry? No, to be fair, that the team of engineers is very dedicated. So we on the 2,000 people, on the 200 people working on the device, we take the people who have to be on the same place on the lab to be together and working together on the stuff. and to integrate the job that other people do elsewhere. So a lot of people working on their computer are just very dedicated and sleeping very few. To be fair, that the team of the regulation team have been working on the document which is more than 800 pages, and they only write it in 10 days. Like in a normal way, it's 10 months to produce that. So they're working like crazy people, but we also take the engineer here and we confine together. So it's basically nobody have the COVID. We're working together, so we don't have to have the mask or everything. So we just are working together, but not leaving the building. So we are away from our family and our clothes. And we're just between us, working on the lab, and we basically living together, and we are confined together to work on this, and we are in a room where there is something which make us think that it's 3 p.m. all the time, because it's not real. It's an artificial luminaire, but it feel like it's not, and we have very few sleep, like 3 hours per night, big time,
Wow.
like for everyone. So they're very dedicated to that, and most of the people I don't know
Okay.
them 1
And
month
how do
ago.
you feel?
Very nice. The project is exciting. We feel we are useful to the world. We learn a lot of things, so there is a lot of pressure. But I think there is many interesting stuff. First, the device is working, and with a little bit of chance and luck, it will be able to be useful for people, and that's a good thing. There's countries where the numbers of ventilators are ridiculous. Like, for example, in Ethiopia, there is 3 ventilators in the whole country. So it's a little bit complicated. So we need to produce them. So first, we all are very proud of what we built, and we're producing a lot of stuff. We are exhausted. Like this is okay because we all are on adrenaline, and we know that what we're building is important, and yeah, we're running the stuff to be sure that it will be working. And I'm very proud of all the team we have assembled, because they're all very good people. It's kind of engineer in a way that we say, okay, we will put 12 solutions on the table, 11 solutions will not be used, but you will all work very hard on all the solutions and see if there is one solution of the problem. So that's very nice. And I think what we do in there, the way we collaborate, there's public people, private people, small company, big company, we all work together to build stuff that makes that a very good collaborative project is able to work if we put all the energy we need inside this.
What would you need right now?
What we need, we certainly need some money to buy supplies for the ventilator. We need that the public make us an order for the ventilator, because it will make everyone better. We need some good connection on the medical part, because a doctor can be, if the device can be approved, but a doctor is the only one able to say, okay, this is a good idea to put a patient on top of it. And for this, we need to convince a large amounts of influence doctors that what we are building is on the right side, because a lot of them can think, okay, how can they build a ventilator in just a few weeks? For years, it have been months or years to produce this kind of stuff. And a very great, for example, an Hamilton, which is a very great ventilator of the stuff. The top device of Hamilton is about 80K priced. So it's very in full price, and we are running about 1,000 bill of material. So sure, there is no price for the people working on this, the R&D and the brand, everything is free, sure, but the bill of material is only 1,000.
And
So it's very
is
cheap.
it the same efficiency?
No, does Hamilton is there is more feature and stuff like that. But for what we do, the test running by independent experts is very good about what we do, like surprisingly good about what we do, because using the software, we have been able to very fine tuning the way the pressure is built on the lung, which is very interesting, better than a mechanical
right.
test to be
Okay, if you have questions,
and it's all made in France, a little bit in Germany, a little bit in Switzerland, but majority of the
all
industry
right.
is
Thank you,
made in
Quentin, for
France.
taking the time to share all of this with me. My friends, if you have questions, it's the moment. I'm really impressed by what you've been able to build within such a short period of time. So bravo for that, Quentin.
Thank you very much, and you can go on the website, and there is a YouTube channel where you can see the device actually work, and there is also GitHub with everything we have built there. And yeah, sure, we will put a lot of. We're very open to any questions.
Do
if
you
you
keep
have
on
any questions,
training and exercising?
Yes, sure.
Wow.
We have a sport room in the palace. So I still continue to the training. I have a lot of calls, to be honest. Like one big part, the way it's working, that I'm coordinator for the mass assembly. Valerian and Baptiste have been building a large expertise. You can speak with Baptiste with about the lungs. You know a lot
You
of stuff
became an
with lungs.
expert.
So it's one of the key. Yeah, so we're building the team like this. So we have people which organize a project, and we have people who deep dive inside the project and try to learn stuff. So Baptiste and Valerian become very expert on specific part, and Pierre-Antoine is handling the old university, the old university and hospital part, which is very complicated. Eric and Mark have been marvelous because they build all the regulation, but also all the connection with institution, because we need to speak with 5 ministers by days, and we need to speak. Yeah, we speak with everyone all the time. We speak with a large number of foreign governments. We speak with a large group like Renault, Seb, Michelin, all the big companies like this. We speak with them like daily to coordinate it with them. So I have majority of my time in the phone, and switching from different call in my phone, because I'm always in 2 calls.
Wow.
Something
And,
like that.
and right now I'm taking some of your time. How do you
No problem. It's the first May. It's a little bit more cold.
how do you manage to keep your vibes up?
In fact, it's what we do is important. So we're very good about that. We have the good music, and as always, when I created a project of like this, we need to remove the barrier. So, for example, Gregory, which is handling the communication, is a very good friend of mine. He have been running an agency for years, and I asked him, can you make the whole communication and the press running? You will have only 10 minutes of my time every day. So I ask you because I have full confidence on you. And he's running the stuff, he's running the stuff, and he's good at this. And I asked Volodya, I know very well for years, can you be there and remove my logistic problem, like food, transportation, logistic, all this problem, and make a good mood and be sure that there is fruits and orange juice for everyone? Yeah, sure. So I don't manage this kind of stuff. And, I go to the CA. I don't know if you see the Centre of Atomical Energy. They're not this kind of people which is, okay, we're cool. They're very nice, but I'm going inside their building. So they give us a full building to work. And I say, yeah, we need some music, because a lot of us are a little bit, how we say,
Tell me.
les,
Thinking of. Tell me. Thinking of.
les gens qui ont pas
Autism?
Asperger, le superset d'Asperger.
Autism?
Ouais, a little bit autism, and we need to have music to focus, because if we don't have music, we lose the control of all the rhythm of our minds is working. So we need to have some music. So they buy us some music device, which is really weird for the CA to do. And I say we're working 20 hours. We need to be sure. So they buy us this kind of device, you know. So it's kind of very weird for them to have people just can be able to come and by any hours of the day and the night, working on that with the security saying, who are these guys? You know? So, and they have been very cool. And the mix of competencies, skills, and way to think are very interesting, I think, on this project.
And
I'm very happy and proud.
If there are any women in your team, and Antoine gave this URL makersforlife.fr where we see the faces, and there are obviously many women.
Yeah, there is many movement. It's depending of the skills you need. You know, engineering is not the part where in real life you see a lot of movement. So sure, the engineering part is mostly men's, but all the what we call approvisionnement, which is the people who are looking for a device or a similar device or another device, finding the stocks, finding the good price, which is a very complicated stuff. And these guys who are building what we call the bill of material. The BOM, bill of material, is everything we need to build a machine, and in which order and in which quantity and which price. And these guys are women because
all right. Quentin, do you keep on singing?
Yeah, sure. I keep on singing.
Because, you know, I call this good vibes for people to keep the good vibes. And usually I ask my guests at the end, okay, what do you hear as a music song every day? And you, I know you are a singer. So if you can give me like some little notes just to end this interview, I would love it. You were not.
To be fair, we're listening a lot of techno music, but I will not sing techno music. But I can sing to you some bel canto. We also have made some opera running on the lab. So one of my favorites, because it's a very cabotin way to sing, is Ricordiam cor che ci incontramo. Volera morte ne ricordiam cor, folle d'amore ne seguici a mano, e a quanto te sognai folle d'amor. Sognai felice di carezza bachi, una catena di reguante in ciel, ma le parole tue furre mendaci, perché l'anima tua fatta ed eterna.
Magnifico. Magnified.
If you want, I can give the partition to Sofiane, and sometimes I will do it live in the family.
Thank you so much, Quentin, for these good vibes. Thank you. Good luck for everything that you do. If we can share, we will. Anything that you need. It was a real pleasure.
Thank you very much, and I hope you will like it. And yeah, we'll come back, because the whole story of how to become an industrial people in just a few weeks, it's quite an interesting story for the management.
We'll have other conversations. Everybody, if you enjoyed this moment, you are welcome to go in the networking area right now and to connect with other people who've been following this interview. It's a chat roulette. You will meet for every 5 minutes someone, and why not start working on a project together or just building connections. Thank you, Quentin. Thank you very much.
Okay.
See you. Bye-bye.